Have you ever stopped to think that diabetes might be building up little by little? Every day, through habits that seem completely normal? Maybe you wake up early, grab a quick coffee, spend hours sitting, eat something quick in the middle of the rush, and go on with life believing that everything is under control. But is it really? The truth is that diabetes doesn't appear out of nowhere. It's usually the result of repeated choices over time, often made automatically, without us realizing the real impact they have on the body. And that's exactly what makes this issue so important and so urgent. Many people associate diabetes only with excessive sugar consumption or genetic factors. But the reality is much broader. There are silent habits, common in the daily lives of millions of people, especially in modern routines, that significantly increase the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. The problem is that these habits are socially accepted, encouraged, and even normalized. Have you ever experienced this? Feeling constantly tired, gradually gaining weight, experiencing hunger pangs, frequent thirst, or lack of energy, and simply attributing it all to stress or age. What you're about to discover may surprise you. When we talk about metabolic health, glucose control, and diabetes prevention, we're not just talking about diet or exercise. We're talking about mindset, daily decisions, and behavioral patterns that shape how the body functions over the years. Small choices, when repeated every day, have a much greater impact than we imagine. And the most dangerous thing is that many of these habits seem harmless at first glance. They don't cause immediate pain. They don't generate a clear warning. But they act behind the scenes, affecting insulin sensitivity, hormonal balance, and metabolism. You might be thinking, but I don't eat that many sweets, or I even try to eat better. And that makes sense. The point here is not to generate guilt or fear, but to bring clarity. Information generates awareness, and awareness generates change. Understanding which habits really contribute to the development of diabetes is an essential step for anyone who wants to take care of their health preventively. And it doesn't matter if you have a family history, if you've never had abnormal test results, or if you just want to avoid problems in the future. This knowledge is valuable for anyone. Habit 7. Excessive consumption of hidden sugars. One of the most common and at the same time most dangerous habits that can increase the risk of diabetes is the excessive consumption of hidden sugars throughout the day. And here's the detail. The problem isn't just the obvious sweets that everyone knows, but mainly sweetened beverages, processed snacks, and foods that present themselves as healthy. Many processed products contain significant amounts of sugar that go unnoticed, such as ready-made juices, sweetened coffees, cereal bars, flavored yogurts, ready-made sauces, light products, and even certain breakfast cereals. It's impressive how small doses of invisible sugar can accumulate rapidly during the day, creating constant spikes in blood glucose that require frequent responses from the body. This recurring consumption forces the body to produce insulin continuously, increasing, over time, the chance of developing insulin resistance and, consequently, the risk of type 2 diabetes. The most worrying thing is that many people believe they are making healthy and conscious choices when, in fact, they are silently and continuously ingesting sugar without realizing it. This invisible effect is treacherous because, while you think you are eating a balanced diet, Your body is already dealing with glycemic spikes that compromise metabolic health. Furthermore, the food industry frequently promotes products as low-fat or natural, reinforcing the mistaken idea that they are safe options, when in reality many of these products contain enough sugar to significantly affect blood glucose levels. Have you ever stopped to think about how many of these choices are part of your daily routine? A sweetened coffee in the morning, a boxed juice at lunch, a flavored yogurt for an afternoon snack, processed snacks between meals. All of this, added together, can represent an alarming amount of sugar consumed without you realizing it. And the more constant this consumption, the greater the pressure on your body, leading to hormonal changes, weight gain, and increased vulnerability to diabetes. The key here is awareness. Understanding that hidden sugar is present in many seemingly harmless foods and drinks is the first step to better controlling your intake and reducing the risks associated with this common habit. It's clear that consuming hidden sugar is much more than just a simple extra sweet treat. It's a daily trap that silently and progressively affects your health. By identifying these foods and drinks in your routine, you can start making smarter choices, reduce glucose spikes, and protect your long-term metabolic health, preventing your body from constantly having to deal with excess insulin. It's an important step for those who want to prevent type 2 diabetes and take responsibility for their daily habits, without guilt, but with awareness and action. Habit 6. Sedentary lifestyle. A sedentary lifestyle is one of the most common habits in modern life, and, at the same time, one of the biggest contributors to the development of diabetes. Spending long hours sitting, whether at work, in the car, or in front of screens, drastically reduces how the body uses glucose. When we move little, the muscles stop helping to absorb sugar from the blood, causing glucose to remain circulating for longer. Over the years, this directly affects insulin sensitivity, making the body less efficient at controlling blood sugar. In today's routine, especially in the United States, this behavior has become almost inevitable. Many people work all day sitting down, eat in front of the computer, and when they get home, continue in front of the television or their cell phone. Have you ever had days like that? The body was made to move, but the modern lifestyle encourages exactly the opposite. And the problem isn't just not going to the gym. Even those who train a few times a week can suffer the effects of a sedentary lifestyle if they spend most of the day sitting. This pattern creates a silent impact that doesn't cause immediate pain, but accumulates over time. Energy decreases, metabolism slows down, and the risk of insulin resistance increases. Small movements throughout the day, such as walking, getting up frequently, or simply reducing sitting time, already make a difference. Understanding this is fundamental to realizing that a sedentary lifestyle is not just a lack of exercise, but a daily habit that directly influences the risk of diabetes. Habit 5. Poor or insufficient sleep. Poor or insufficient sleep is an underestimated habit, but one that has a profound impact on the risk of developing diabetes. When sleep is insufficient, the body undergoes significant hormonal dysregulation, directly affecting how glucose is controlled. Hormones responsible for hunger and satiety become unbalanced, increasing the appetite for foods rich in sugar and carbohydrates. At the same time, insulin sensitivity decreases, causing sugar to remain in the blood for longer. Many people surprised to discover that just a few nights of poor sleep can alter glucose levels. In our fast-paced routines, it's common to sacrifice sleep for work, screens, or commitments without realizing the cost to our metabolic health. Over time, sleep deprivation becomes a silent factor contributing to weight gain, insulin resistance, and a higher risk of type 2 diabetes, even in people who believe they have relatively healthy habits. Habit 4. Diet based on ultra-processed foods. A diet based on ultra-processed foods is one of the main habits that contribute to an increased risk of diabetes, especially when it becomes part of the daily routine. Fast food, ready meals, packaged snacks, and products rich in refined carbohydrates were developed to be convenient, tasty, and accessible, but they come at a high cost to metabolic health. These foods often contain large amounts of sugar, white flour, low-quality fats, and additives that cause rapid spikes in blood glucose soon after consumption. When these spikes happen frequently, the body is forced to release large amounts of insulin to try to balance blood sugar. Over time, this constant effort can lead to insulin resistance, one of the main pathways to the development of type 2 diabetes. In addition, ultra-processed foods have low nutritional value and provide little satiety, causing the person to feel hungry again shortly afterward, which encourages excessive calorie consumption throughout the day. Another important impact is on body weight. Excess refined carbohydrates and high-calorie foods promote weight gain, especially in the abdominal region, which is directly associated with a higher risk of diabetes. The problem is that these foods are part of many people's routines due to lack of time or information and end up being seen as normal. Understanding how ultra-processed foods affect blood sugar and metabolism is essential to realizing that small changes in diet can significantly reduce the risk of diabetes and improve overall health. Habit 3. Chronic stress. Chronic stress is a factor often overlooked when discussing diabetes, but it has a direct impact on blood sugar balance. When the body lives in a constant state of tension, cortisol levels remain elevated for long periods. This hormone, while essential in specific situations, in excess hinders the action of insulin, favoring insulin resistance and increasing blood glucose. Over time, this silent process contributes to the development of type 2 diabetes. In the fast-paced routine, especially linked to work, finances, and daily pressures, stress becomes almost permanent. Many people are always rushing, sleep poorly, and cannot switch off their minds. This continuous state of alert affects not only emotions but also metabolism. Recognizing stress as a risk factor is essential to understanding that taking care of your health involves much more than diet and exercise. It also involves learning to slow down and protect the body's balance. Habit 4. Diet based on ultra-processed foods. A diet based on ultra-processed foods is one of the main habits that contribute to an increased risk of diabetes, especially when it becomes part of the daily routine. Fast food, ready meals, packaged snacks, and products rich in refined carbohydrates were developed to be convenient, tasty, and accessible, but they come at a high cost to metabolic health. These foods often contain large amounts of sugar, white flour, low-quality fats, and additives that cause rapid spikes in blood glucose soon after consumption. When these spikes happen frequently, the body is forced to release large amounts of insulin to try to balance blood sugar. Over time, this constant effort can lead to insulin resistance, one of the main pathways to the development of type 2 diabetes. In addition, ultra-processed foods have low nutritional value and provide little satiety, causing the person to feel hungry again shortly afterward, which encourages excessive calorie consumption throughout the day. Another important impact is on body weight. Excess refined carbohydrates and high-calorie foods promote weight gain, especially in the abdominal region, which is directly associated with a higher risk of diabetes. The problem is that these foods are part of many people's routines due to lack of time or information and end up being seen as normal. Understanding how ultra-processed foods affect blood sugar and metabolism is essential to realizing that small changes in diet can significantly reduce the risk of diabetes and improve overall health. Habit 3. Chronic stress. Chronic stress is a factor often overlooked when discussing diabetes, but it has a direct impact on blood sugar balance. When the body lives in a constant state of tension, cortisol levels remain elevated for long periods. This hormone, while essential in specific situations, in excess hinders the action of insulin, favoring insulin resistance and increasing blood glucose. Over time, this silent process contributes to the development of type 2 diabetes. In the fast-paced routine, especially linked to work, finances, and daily pressures, stress becomes almost permanent. Many people are always rushing, sleep poorly, and cannot switch off their minds. This continuous state of alert affects not only emotions but also metabolism. Recognizing stress as a risk factor is essential to understanding that taking care of your health involves much more than diet and exercise. It also involves learning to slow down and protect the body's balance. Recognizing this isn't about guilt, but about taking responsibility, opening your eyes, and starting to make choices that truly protect your health. Habit 1. Lack of awareness and prevention. The biggest risk habit, surprisingly, isn't eating too much sugar or spending the day sitting down. It's simply not paying attention to your own choices, not noticing what you consume, how you move, how you sleep, or how you react to stress. Many people live on autopilot, assuming everything is fine until a test or symptom shows otherwise. This is the most critical point because, without awareness, there is no prevention. But the good news is that change is possible. By starting to observe your habits, questioning daily decisions, and seeking small improvements, you create real opportunities to reduce your risk of diabetes. It's a habit of personal responsibility, of being present in your own health and understanding that every choice counts. And, contrary to what many think, it's not about deprivation or guilt, but about taking control and building a routine that protects you in the long term. Throughout this video, we've seen how small daily habits can accumulate and become major risk factors for developing diabetes. From excessive consumption of hidden sugars in processed foods and drinks, to the sedentary lifestyle that accompanies modern routines, to sleep deprivation that disrupts essential hormones, every detail counts. We also talked about diets based on ultra-processed foods, chronic stress that raises cortisol and contributes to insulin resistance, and the tendency of many people to ignore clear body signals, such as fatigue, constant thirst, or weight gain. All these habits often normal in the routines of millions of people, add up and can put health at risk without us immediately realizing it. And finally, we come to the biggest and most silent of all, the lack of awareness and prevention. It is the absence of full attention to one's own daily choices. The routine on autopilot without reflecting on what really affects health. This is the most dangerous habit because it is invisible, but at the same time totally reversible. Recognizing that every decision means from you. Eat to how you move and deal with the stress impact on your body is the first step to transforming your life. Change isn't about guilt or extreme restriction, but about taking responsibility and building habits that protect your term health and well-being. Now, I want you to reflect. Which of these habits do you notice most in your own routine? Which one have you already started to notice and feel you need to change? Comment below. Tell me honestly. I'm ready to change or share which habit you find most challenging to adjust. Your experience is valuable, and by sharing, you not only strengthen your own awareness, but also help other people connect with this information and realize that they are not alone on this journey of taking care of their health. If you've made it this far, you've already realized how much reflecting on these habits makes a difference. Haven't you? Liking this video is a way to show that you care about your health and the message we are sharing together. Each like here isn't just a number. It's the connection we're creating, helping to bring in more people who also want to understand how to better care for their body and mind. And if you want to continue this journey with me, there's a video right here that perfectly complements what we discussed today, full of insights on how to improve your habits and prevent future problems. Click and stay with me there, because there's still a lot of valuable information waiting for you.